How are you? Hope you're well. So today I'm here to start reading the OG cozy fantasy book, a classic in the cozy fantasy genre, if you will. That book is obviously Howl's Moving Castle. I have watched the film and I really enjoy the film. Studio Ghibli to me is always strange because I enjoy their films, however I always just find them a tad bit boring, and so I usually get very sleepy when watching them, but they're also very comforting and cozy and relaxing, and so it's not necessarily a bad thing. They're not my favorite type of films though, but I do enjoy them. Howl's Moving Castle is probably one of my more loved ones from Studio Ghibli, and so I am excited to read it. I've heard people say the book is very different from this one and you shouldn't compare the two and that the book is better, which I think the book is almost always better, but we're going to find that out together during this reading vlog. In general, I'm just curious because I genuinely did not know it was a book until I entered the booktube book talk sphere, just based off of the fact that I seem to be quite a big fan of action-packed cozy fantasy books. This seems like the type of book that would be right up my alley. So yeah, I will check back in a bit later once I've started reading it. So how far am I into it actually? Okay, so I'm about 39% into it. I originally started reading the ebook and the writing style wasn't clicking with me, so I did switch to the audio, and I'm about 3 hours and 22 minutes into the audiobook. And so far, I don't know how I feel. It's a very old book. It was originally published in 1986, and I don't know if it's maybe that I just don't click with old books that well, but I'm very bored. When I read it, not a single word that my eye looks at goes into my brain. And then when I listen to it, I feel like I'm being yapped at by a little old lady, which isn't a bad thing, but I do check out quite a bit. And the audiobook must also be very old because there was an error that they didn't edit out. I screen recorded it, so I'll play it for you in a second, but she literally corrects herself when she misspeaks, and they kept it in, they didn't cut it out.
The biggest jar had a name. It was called Drying Power, in crooked letters. Sophie was not sure whether there should be a D in that or not. or not. She picked up a packet at random.
And to me, that was just kind of crazy. What do you mean you just left that in there? I don't know if I'm going to DNF it or not, but I'm bored. I'm confused because a lot of people said that the book and the movie are uncomparable and very different, and so far they're very similar, at least in the first 39%. Yes, there are extra characters and there's extra story parts that aren't in the film, but overall in terms of adapting book to film, it follows the original storyline pretty closely so far. So I'm very confused as to why that was said. Obviously, I'm not even halfway yet, so maybe it's in the second half that will be more true. But yeah, I'm just very confused. I'm not really enjoying it that much. I don't want to say it's badly written, but I'm genuinely very bored a lot of the time. And today it was easier listening to it than it was yesterday. Yesterday I thought I was going to lose my mind listening to it, but today it's been a bit better. I definitely don't think I'll be reading the entire series. I think I'll be reading Howl's Moving Castle as a standalone, but I don't really know what I'm going to do. I don't know. There's something about it that's making me feel incredibly disconnected, and I'm really struggling with that. But I really do want to try and push through at least a bit farther. I want to try and get to at least 50% before I decide if I'm going to DNF it or not, because it's such a classic and because I want to like this book. I think that's the most difficult part. I went into this expecting to love it. I went into this wanting to love it, and the fact that I'm not is very disappointing, and I'm struggling to accept it. And so I really want to try and push through a little bit farther before I DNF it. If I DNF it, who knows, I might fall in love with it in the next 10% and binge finish it. I don't know how I feel, but right now I'm bored, and that sucks, and I don't want that. but that is what's happening. So yeah, let's hope things turn around quickly and that the next clip you see is not me DNFing it. All right, so I'm back with the unshocking and inevitable news that I did end up DNFing Howl's Moving Castle. I DNF'd it at 43%, which was about 3 hours and 42 minutes into the audiobook. So the last place we left off was me feeling incredibly irritated and disconnected to the audiobook. And that partially got better a little bit. I did get to a point where I wasn't feeling irritated with it. However, there was a giant red flag in terms of this book that ended up being the reason I DNF'd it, and that was usually over weekends, I don't really listen to audiobooks that much. I tend to listen to them when I'm home alone, when I'm getting ready, when I'm working, when I'm cleaning, things like that. Sometimes in the shower, but that usually doesn't work for me. Usually I put on a podcast during then. And so on weekends, when my fiance is home the whole day, I don't tend to listen to audiobooks that much because he's there. I have someone to yap at the whole time. You know what I mean? And I also just don't like wearing headphones when people are home. I feel like that's a bit rude. I don't know. It's a me thing. Don't look too deep into it. But I didn't listen to an audiobook over the weekend, and then come Monday morning when I'm waking up and getting ready and putting on my audiobook, I forgot what I was listening to. I went into my library app where I get my audiobooks, and for a second I thought to myself, what even am I listening to? Like, what do I have an audiobook that I'm listening to? And then I opened it and I saw I was reading Howl's Moving Castle, and I was like, oh, that's not good, that's not great, that's actually in fact very bad. So that was the point where I felt the need to DNF it, because if I can't even remember that I'm listening to the book, push it down, put the book down. What do you mean you don't remember? I genuinely thought I didn't have a book for a second. I thought I was going to go into my app and it was just empty. So that's how bad it was. And that's the reason why I ended up DNFing it. If I'm not remembering the books I'm reading, clearly they're not clicking with me in a very quite severe way, in my opinion. And so that is why I ended up not continuing it. And when I was listening to it, I was bored. So bored to the fact that I told myself, why don't I try listening to a chapter at night as I'm falling asleep? And I forgot to put it on to do that because I forgot that I was reading it. It's one of those books where it was out of sight, out of mind completely. I was bored the entire time, and I'm genuinely so disappointed because I wanted to like it really, really badly. I wanted to love this book. I thought it would be a 5-star. I honestly considered buying the box set of the whole series because I was like, there's absolutely no way that I'm not liking Howl's Moving Castle. Like, I just don't see that happening, and unfortunately that's exactly what happened. To be honest, I wonder if this book is an indication to me that I'm just not a fan of older books. Every book that's been published quite early on, and by early on I mean essentially before the 2000s, I just don't click with nearly as much as I want to or I should, including both Dracula and Frankenstein. I checked out for over half of those books to the point where I genuinely need to reread both. It's a problem, and I don't know if I just haven't picked up the right type of older books, or if it's a writing style issue, or if it's just the knowledge of it being an older book that gets to me subconsciously. I truly have no idea. I think Jurassic Park is the only one that I rated highly. Maybe that's not true. Also, the other one that I read for my fiance, I'll link all the videos down below. I did a little series where I read my fiance's favorite books, and we talked about them together in a video. But other than that, I don't know, it's just not my thing. Can't really pinpoint why. It just isn't, and I'm very sad about it. But you know what, at least I tried. I said this is the year I want to get out of my comfort zone, and I've been doing exactly that, and I've been trying very hard, and it's been flopping a little bit, but you know what, at least I'm trying, and I think that's the important part. If you liked Howl's Moving Castle, if you read it and you really enjoyed it, can you explain to me why you loved it so that I can figure out what was missing for me and why I didn't connect to it? Please and thank you. If you like me or my videos, I would really appreciate a like, comment, and subscribe if you feel like it. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Bye.